In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Charlie Pierce. They look at the leadership of the Republican Party and if they're going to help edge us off the debt limit cliff or instead push us over. Here's Stephanie.
That really was like a Kevin McCarthy redux, wasn't it? Like, look at Hillary's poll numbers. We did Benghazi, and now look at, I mean, that was him saying, Joe Biden's
that's
poll.
Exactly right. And Chris actually put his finger on something that drives me nuts as a professional, which is basically that you take an op-ed piece and you say the newspaper said it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
The op-ed piece was written, by the way, by Jim Garrity, who's an editor at National Review.
Right.
So the odds are that the Washington Post and the National Review don't have the same editorial view of things.
Exactly.
Well, we were talking about the question Chris Wallace asked Jim Clyburn, which is as if it's somebody has determined Democrats would be better off without Joe Biden as the candidate. And he went from that supposition, which is also an op-ed, to say, isn't it common wisdom that Democrats would be better off? It's like, what? No, it's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking off the air. I started watching a little bit of Representative Jim Jacketless Jordan's hearing today on border security, and he started talking about, well, there are news reports that say, X, Y, and Z, and 11 billion, fentanyl-ridden, people are coming over the border every day, and I guarantee you, if you look up the sites of those news reports, they're all, Fox News, or News.
It's the Fox News. Some say,
the American Examiner, or Gateway Pundit, or one of those.
Right. When they say some say on Fox News, they mean someone in their hallway just said it.
Exactly. The person pushing the donut cart that morning said it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, I love this. Trump lashed out at Laura Ingram after she aired a series of polls that showed him performing worse than DeSantis against Biden. She aired them in a segment showing Trump losing to Biden in Georgia and Arizona. The pollster said Donald Trump in almost all the polls we've seen that have been done so far, granted it's early, is behind Joe Biden. Of course, he's talking about the one outlier poll. So what do you call it? Trump said, Laura Ingram just did a hit piece on me. There go her ratings, showing some polls indicated Ron DeSanctimonious may do much better about Biden than I would, when actually his polls show I do much better against Biden than Rob. Who's he calling Rob? I don't, okay. Huh? This was my favorite. Last time Fox did this, he said, he tweeted, they're desperately pushing DeSanctimonious, who regardless is dropping like a rock. He sucks, and so does Fox News. I just love that because it's so 8th grade.
You suck. You suck. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's very hard to argue with the sentiments of anything in that. I mean, when you come right down to it, I mean, yes, you consider the source, but what did he say that was wrong?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're all awful. Big bag of rats. I love
big bag of rats. Absolutely.
I loved your. I always learn things from you. The 2024 Republican ticket from the crypt, which is a very creepy, scary story about how they buried people they thought were vampires. Is that what?
Sure.
Oh yeah, with the blade sharp edge down, so if the vampire sat up, it would cut its head off.
Right. Sure. Okay, and a padlock on its toe, the skeleton. Anyway, it's creepy. You just said it's now almost 5 decades since the Republican Party was first bedeviled by its own undead, an undead appetite for cruelty in public policy, an undead attraction to the political use of fear and cultural boogeymen, the undead proclivity for causing the same damage over and over again, running up crippling deficits, following the culture wars to inevitable extremes, and harboring a misbegotten devotion to dear leader, whether Reagan and his some magical supply side America, George W., his crusade to turn every Middle Eastern despotism into Rhode Island at the point of an RPG, and finally and most destructively to Donald Trump, who lied worse than Reagan and had lousier foreign policy than Bush. And you just said the undead followed them all. So this is, of a pattern, right?
Right. I mean, this is the way they run the political party. And, a number of things have contributed to the fact that they can't get away from it. The biggest one being that the party apparatus has no power anymore.
Yeah.
The ultimate power in any political party for decades was its ability to cut off finances. The power, the National Committee would say, okay, you want to say that? Fine, you're not getting another dime. That doesn't matter anymore. You you go find some venture capital billionaire who thinks he invented the human race, and he gives you money and you run your campaign and you don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said they must contend with a powerful new faction of the undead, the specter of the previous president of the United States. You just said we will find the GOP's campaign to replace President Joe Biden, who 2/3 of Republicans don't think was legitimately elected in the first place. Mm-hmm. I mean, as you always call it, Charlie, it's like a prion disease that has affected the whole party, and it's
it's destroying their higher functions.
Yeah,
and it was one they invited in, and they can't, and it's so far gone at this point that the only way to do it, the only way to rid ourselves of it, would be to crush these people in hundreds of elections all across the country. And quite honestly, the Democrats aren't up for that. So I don't know I don't know where we go after that. After this, I don't.
You had a scary ending to your story. You said what's dead doesn't stay dead. It slouches toward 2024 to be born again. Do you feel like orcas attacking boats is a sign that Donald Trump will be president again?
I think the orcas are telling us to get our act together.
I do too.
I mean, the orcas have had enough. They've been nice and quiet, and, watching this whole thing unfold.
Killing great
whites. I think they're fed up at this point. Plus, the sharks are getting in on it now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
they
finally
a couple of shark attacks down in Florida.
Maybe they finally found a dictionary. They're like, wait, killer whale.